하겠어요.
And not because they are anonymous that they have power. So that's just a question or a suggestion.
Thank you. I mean, I agree with you, but with the qualification. I mean, yes, words certainly have power, so I should have been more precise in making the case that anonymity seems to be credited with a special power, right? So in other words, that it's anonymous speech that gets called divine or diabolical because there's some extra charge. So then the question is, what's the extra charge? And I think, so what I was trying to suggest there is that it's capacity to shift sort of an equilibrium perception about how power is distributed through speech, right? So in other words, if there were nothing but anonymous speech, our communicative world would break down. So the norm, the equilibrium point, is the use of names. And what gives that, the backdrop of that equilibrium, that anonymous speech does something special. It's got a power. From a variety of other cases, right? That's always the issue that I struggle with, is how much is increasing around just another ethnographic example, and how much is it a special case. And so your suggestion is that as a special case, it's a special case because it made itself that as an act of power in itself, and so in that regard potentially continues to dominate, by my view, by my subscribing to the view that it has a special power.
Perhaps the law of the context is creating a strong sense of power because it involved other citizens in the process, for example, in the French Revolution. I think that in the case of Greece and Rome, there has been, and this took into account briefly in my own presentation, there was a tendency, whatever sometimes, to give higher priorities if Greece and Rome have I think that the reason that such phenomena can be fruitfully studied by taking into consideration Greece and Rome has to do with certain similarities with phenomena in our Western civilization, such as, for instance, experiments with the rule of people or democracy living in urban centers, globalization processes, creation of networks, and so on. But on the other hand, of course, have their own particularities because the past historian always remind that Greece and Rome are not the same as what they were, despite the similarities of the analogies that we use. Thank you.
Is that answered by that Rohini in the very back? The New York Times in 2005 started trying to think about how to deal with the proliferation of anonymity on its own pages, but it's where their reporters were referring to anonymous sources. And this was exactly for years discrediting the paper because readers didn't know how to take what they were getting. And so they came up with this recommendation that when anonymity is unavoidable, reporters and editors must be more diligent in describing sources more fully. The basics include how the anonymous sources know what they know, quality of the information, right? So that's truth or false. Why they are willing to provide the information, so what's their motivation? Are they sincere or insincere? And why are they entitled to anonymity? In other words, what's the power story that justifies anonymity in this case? So it's exactly the 3 points that I was pulling out about anonymous speech, which actually, as it happens, are the three features of speech that Habermas also pulls out when he wants to talk about how you judge whether speech is being used to build to a successful deliberative outcome. But so in brief, so then the question is your question about the relative power or lack thereof of anonymous speech. What I was trying to suggest was, while I think anonymous speech fails to function, effectively for informational purposes, to some degree less effectively in terms of driving decision makers, there are other things that are being done through communication that can be effective, even in cases of conflict. And so this relates to the sources of power identified as shifting costs to the listener. So the listener may then make worse decisions, right? That can be beneficial to the speaker. So one has to remember that sometimes you want to trick people into making a bad decision, and anonymity can help that, actually. And then, so in Creon's case, he does not have an adequate understanding of the circumstances, precisely because it becomes too difficult to interpret what he's hearing. And because he has a bad understanding, he makes bad decisions, and then it leads to his downfall. And then the second thing is the shifting, blurring the private-public line and drawing on intimacy. That is useful for developing solidarity, regardless of the caliber of the information being passed. And as solidarity is developed, you can shift alliances and so forth, which themselves can shift political outcomes. So it has different kinds of power, and I think that's exactly the point. And I don't think the issue of conflictual contexts versus consensus contexts should matter, actually, for identifying where and when anonymity has had power. So I've got Dirk and Daryl and Cecile and then the gentleman on my left here. So if we could go in that order, if that's okay.
Just take another ancient Greek category. Try to see what is linked to anonymity.
frankness of speech. Brown makes the argument that you see philosophers being used more in embassies and so on and so forth because they're thought to have frankness of speech. And that capacity for frankness of speech is linked to their peculiar sort of power, which is having fewer interests than other people. I will tell you how it is just like it is, and you can exile me for it. That doesn't really damage my interest because I don't care. I'm a citizen of the world. And so there's a certain sort of power, I take it, in that kind of speech, the freedom to say exactly what you think, which on the one hand comes from something like intimacy. I'm telling you this because this is what I think you need to know, though I think it's going to upset you. But on the other hand has something of that power of anonymity in the sense that in a peculiar way, the person delivering the unwelcome news is, as it were, sort of immune to blowback for it, in much the same way that you're immune to blowback when your name is assigned to it. And so I think RSE is sort of an interesting position there between power and intimacy and anonymity.
So Daryl, next.
So, Daniel, I was wondering if you could maybe clarify for me a little bit more this distinction between the contingent and the necessary relevance of ancient politics or ancient sort of political categories for contemporary politics. Because when you introduced it, I thought that the distinction was something like this: that the contingent, the view that the relevance was contingent was something like, well, we just happen to find ourselves in a tradition in which these are the sort of the forebears of the tradition, and because of that, we refer back to our ancestors in the tradition. And the necessary was something like, well, there's some special insight that they have that is sort of unavoidable, and it's of the nature of politics. We keep going back to it because it's not just because we stand in the tradition, but because there's special insight that's there throughout the political realm itself. And maybe that's the incorrect understanding that I have. And I'm suspicious that it is incorrect because then when you listed the four things at the end there, the one that you said that you thought was the necessary was the third. And I guess I would have thought, given my understanding, that you would have said it was the second to the fourth, that it's the Heideggerian or the Freudian. The relevance of politics would be, or ancient politics would be thought of as necessary. If we thought that there was something about the speech that peculiarly illuminated the human condition, or if there was something about human nature that was peculiarly captured by the ancient tradition, either the second to the fourth, and not the third. So I don't know if I'm not understanding the distinction or the application of the distinction, or where my confusion lies.
Great, thank you. Cecile? And the way in which democracy has been justified from the Greek authors onwards. So if you think of Condorcet through to Habermas, there is the view that the intrinsic quality of decision-making is enhanced by the fact that it's anonymous, which you find that in classical social choice theories of politics as well. It's precisely because we are less suspicious of power that comes from aggregation of plurality of voices. There is a sense that the transparency and the democratic nature of decision-making will be enhanced precisely if power is anonymous. It's less suspicious. It seems to come from an aggregation of multiple voices, and this is Condorcet's defense of public democracy. Which I think is more than this. Thank you. And the gentleman
Actually, I would like to talk about the sea, especially status of politics in Greece world. The assumption that that is how normative, and when one cites Constantine as the inadequacy of modern culture because it depends upon commerce rather than giving positive special status to politics, that I think, if I may put an 18th century British perspective on that, and that is the demonstrable association of liberty and property and freedom. And whether we're looking at Joseph Addison and big politics, or we're looking at somebody like Adam Smith, or more recently Milton Friedman, we have a very similar assumption that essentially ancient Rome, especially prior to Imperial Augustus forward, is irrelevant and disruptive to the liberty it claims to have. It controls art, it destroys the Senate, it ultimately leads to the collapse of Rome. Now Alexander Pope writes his own epitaph. It is heroes and kings, your distance keep. In peace, let one poor poet sleep. Let flattered folks like you, let Horace blush, and Virgil too. And he says that the Aeneid does not have a single honest line in its views of hearty peace for the Augustan principle. But what 18th century British political and economic thinkers do is then say, what is the alternative to the demonstrably corrupt Roman model that some people thought we inherited? And that becomes the model of commerce, the free hospital polite commercial people that ensures in British political and economic thought some form of liberty that the Romans would not possibly have thought of, because obviously based upon slave culture, which was odious to human beings. And so when we think about the special status of politics in Greece and Rome as a normative thing, I think we also need to think about its demonstrable inadequacies, the way in which it becomes quite deservedly rejected in more civilized cultures.
Thank you. So I'm going to just take a minute to kind of respond to okay. We will have them to say very soon. So I want to take the last comment that Daryl said, and I'll come back to and Condorcet. Okay. So it may be worth saying here that there is actually a way in which, in terms of the history of uses of antiquity for thinking about politics, we are in a different moment than 100 years ago, 200 years ago, and so forth, which comments call out. So first, on contingency versus necessity, there were two types of contingency I was referring to. One, the idea that we're just part of a tradition. The other, that and thinking about ancient Greece and Rome can be useful because of the difference of the case from our own experience and because of the contained nature of the case. The archive is complete and so forth. So there's a way in which it becomes contingently another valuable ethnographic case to set against our own. So it was against really that sort of second type of contingency. So the Heideggerian